he does have connections, but will the Taiwanese electorate view him as someone who can actually do business with China, or will they be worried because of all his past business and investments in China?
Welcome to The Scoop, Road to the Elections. We're coming to you from the TaiwanPlus newsroom in downtown Taipei. I'm Andrew Ryan with two reporters today, Louise Watt and Yuchen Lai.
Hello, everyone.
Great to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me. And of course, we are bringing you behind the scenes to show you how we cover the news here in Taiwan. And specifically, in the next 93 days, we're going to be showing you how we cover the elections. Because, of course, Taiwan is heading to the polls on January 13th. Of next year. Now, last week we introduced two of the main candidates. So these are the two candidates from the biggest parties, Lai Ching-te, the current vice president from the DPP, and Hou You-yi from the Kuomintang or KMT, which is the main opposition party. Today, we're going to introduce the other two candidates. One is from a smaller party, the other is an independent. We're going to start off with Wen-je, who is a former mayor of Taipei, and he's from the very small opposition party called the Taiwan People's Party. And we usually say it the full name so we don't confuse the TPP with the DPP. So he's from the Taiwan People's Party, and I'm going to show you a short introduction to Wen-je. Have a look at this.
In 2014, Taiwan's capital, Taipei, held an election for a new mayor, one of the country's top jobs. But the main opposition party chose not to fill a candidate. Instead, the Democratic Progressive Party backed an independent, a doctor called Wen-je.
经过中执会同意，民主进步党在本届的台北市长选举将不予提名。同时呢，本党将倾全力协助Wen-je医师当选。
Ke rejected the bitter fighting of Taiwan's two biggest parties and promised an alternative third way. Now, he's hoping to bring his own party, the Taiwan People's Party, to the nation's highest office. With elections less than 4 months away, the former two-term mayor of Taipei has set his sights on the presidency. This is Wen-je explained.
He definitely had so much support among young people. He came to power in Taipei. He kind of rode a wave of anti-China sentiment, and that was also very much led by young people. But when he was Taipei mayor, he then moved, he seemed to move across the spectrum, and I think he lost a lot of his original support, but then picked up some more. So now he's running for president. He's still with his original idea, look, I'm the third way, it's a third party. I'm tired of the partisan divide in Taiwanese politics, kind of like, you know, we've seen around the world. And I think that's a message that appeals to a lot of people. They're tired of the divisive nature of politics, and they also want something new.
Wen-je is not the consummate performer. He's not a politician's politician. What is his path forward? How does he win this?
I would say he's a bit of a man's man. You know, he's definitely a populist. He's very plain speaking. I mean, that's what won him fans at the beginning. Like, he was not a politician. He was very much, I'm a doctor. So, you know, if you want to compare him a little to Trump, I mean, he had no political background. And he wanted to, he then stood, I mean, now he's plain talking. He has a lot of gaffes. He's also been accused of making misogynist comments. I mean, and he doesn't apologize for them. I think he deflects and says, look, I'm a doctor, we all do good. How could we mean any harm? Yeah. And I think that's his brand. And I think, will it harm him in the polls? I think slightly among women, slightly. But his core supporters, judging by recent campaign events, seem to be men, 20s, 40s.
So the fourth candidate that we're introducing in our show, the second this week, who is different from the others because he's not attached to a political party. He's an independent. Of course, I'm talking about Terry Guo, who is the founder of Foxconn, the world's largest contract electronics maker, which makes iPhones, among other things. Have a look at this introduction.
After Taiwan's top 3 political parties announced their presidential candidates, the opposition vote had already been split in 2. Then came more trouble. In August, the billionaire founder of iPhone manufacturer Foxconn, Terry Guo, once again set his sights on Taiwan's highest office. But this time, he's running as an independent against his old party. This is Terry Guo explained.
We don't currently have an official Terry Guo desk, and that's also because Terry Guo is not officially on the ballot as of right now. He's announced his bid, but because he's not attached to a party, so he actually needs to collect a certain number of signatures before he can put his name on the ballot.
That's right. And so his deadline is November 2nd. He has to get 290,000 signatures. And the reason is, as you mentioned, he's not from a major political party. You have to be from a political party that got at least 5% of the vote in the last elections. Now, what's your impression of Terry Guo?
Well, first and foremost, he's a businessman. And not just any businessman. He's a billionaire?
Yeah.
He has a lot of money. This is not his first time running for president either. He's tried to run last cycle, and this is also the second time where he failed to get the nomination from the main opposition party, the KMT.
Taiwanese billionaire Terry Guo arrives at a campaign office in Taipei that's been gathering signatures to help him get on the presidential ballot. It's the second time the founder of tech giant Foxconn is trying to win top office. He failed to get the biggest opposition party's nomination, but says he's now got enough support to stand as an independent in January's vote.
短短2周的时间就突破了联署门槛，我们会持续的努力，持续加油。
I mean, I think the interesting aspect of Terry Guo is his links with China. So all the opposition candidates are saying they can improve Taiwan's relations with China. But Terry Guo is particularly interesting because he grew up his business in China. And, you know, as you've mentioned, I mean, Foxconn is known for assembling the Apple iPhone. And he's made so much money there. And even though he's now no longer the chairman of Foxconn, it's a very interesting question that how much could Beijing, what sway could they hold over him? But on the other hand, I mean, he says he has deep political links with China. I mean, he's been doing business there since the 1980s. He's worked with local officials who were desperate to get their local economies going. He's met a certain Xi Jinping when he was still a lowly official in Fujian province. So he does have connections, but will the Taiwanese electorate view him as someone who can actually do business with China, or will they be worried because of all his past business and investments in China?
I absolutely agree with Louise here, and I think one incident that Terry Guo likes to bring up constantly is during the 2022 lockdown. He mentioned an incident where he could use his own leverage in China to convince local officials to not impose a strict lockdown in the city where a lot of his workers are, where he has employed a lot of the local residents. He uses that as an example, but it's definitely unclear whether or not Beijing could just turn the tables and equally use his assets in China as leverage against him.
Do you think either of these two candidates will drop out or join forces with someone else? Let's start with Wen-je.
It's hard to see Ke linking up, but actually, if you asked me this last week, my answer would be different, because in the past few days, actually, Hou You-yi of the KMT, the main opposition party, and Ke have said they will have discussions as to whether they could. But Ke's idea is they have debates, and whoever's doing better in the polls will be the main candidate. And guess what? Because Ke's doing better in the polls, right? So I still think it's unlikely until possibly very, very close to election day. And even if they don't link up, it may be that the other opposition candidates then say to their supporters, okay, let's get behind whoever is in the lead. And so, yes, that might be the only way that they have a shot at beating Lai.
Now, Terry Guo threw his hat in the ring. Last time, he didn't get the KMT nomination, so he took a step back. This time, he's not going that road. He's going as an independent, so he doesn't have an excuse to fall back on, right?
No.
Do you think he's going to stay in the race until the end?
I think so. I think it's a matter of pride at this point. He'd already sent out multiple invitations, I think, to Ko as well as to Hou You-yi to kind of like see how they could collaborate, but nothing ever came out of it. And I think the polls is a big factor in all of this. Terry Guo is polling in last place, and that makes him not that viable of a partner for either Ko Wen-je or Hou You-yi.
Thank you once again for joining us for The Scoop. I'm Andrew Ryan on behalf of Louise Watt and Yuchun Lai. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.